And there are also some mental health benefits as well. Some of these include depression. Being outdoors seems to enhance a sense of well-being, as evidenced by the book by a Harvard University professor, Edward O. Wilson. He has a PhD. He argues in his book Biophilia that human beings have a genetic tendency to seek connection with other living things. And it also has been proven to help with ADHD and other cognitive functions just by being outdoors rather than being in a house or in an office setting. There's another point that I wanted to bring out about the stress level, that there was a study done by the American Physiological Association that nearly half of adolescents in US said that their level of stress had increased in the past year, and being outside seems to reduce the stress because it gets the people more relaxed and they can connect with nature. Maybe possibly they're walking their dogs and that reduces their stress level. They get their mind off of the office and their busy lifestyle.
A Danish survey was taken of 2,000 adults ages 18 to 80 in 2004. The data was derived from a questionnaire mailed to the adults. The questionnaire focused on types of activities undertaken in public green areas as well as an evaluation and preferences towards these areas. Other information gathered included the distance from home, what type of green space, and how often they visited the park. A health section of the questionnaire asked multiple questions on mental stress as well as the respondent's height and weight to calculate the body mass index. The result of this survey indicates there is a steep decline in frequency of use with increasing distance from home, especially over the first 100 to 300 meters, which is a mile to 3 miles. This reveals that the closer the park is, the more likely you are to use it. It also showed a strong positive correlation between stress levels and distance to green spaces. This here is a study done by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, examined associations among individual parks and neighborhood environmental characteristics in children and adolescents' park-based physical activity. The data was collected in 2007 from 2,712 children in 20 randomly selected parks in Durham, North Carolina. Of the 2,712 children observed, 34.2% and 13.2% were engaged in walking or vigorous physical activity. 56.5% of the children were boys, and most of the children were ages 0 to 12. Most of the children were observed on the playgrounds, followed by open spaces. Girls were significantly more likely to be playing on playgrounds than boys. However, boys were observed more in courts and fields. A small amount of adolescents between the ages of 13 through 18 were observed on playgrounds, in open space areas, and on trails and pathways, when compared to the age group of 0 to 5 and 6 to 12 years old. As you can see on the chart to the right, it explains everything going through categories of physical activity level, gender, age, style of play, and the zone types. Here's another chart from the same study showing that children 0 to 12 years old are the frequent users of parks. Girls are more likely to be on playgrounds, and boys were more likely to be on fields and courts. Higher levels of physical activity were associated with presence of other active children. Another study done by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine examined whether the relationship between physical activity and the access to parks among adolescents differs depending on adolescents' socio-demographic, housing, and neighborhood characteristics. Data was analyzed from 4,010 adolescents who responded to the 2013 California Interview Survey. Analyses were conducted in 2005 and 2006. The results showed that access to a safer park has was positively associated with regular physical activity and negatively associated with inactivity for adolescents in urban areas and rural areas. You can see this by Model 1 and Model 2, and how in Model 1 is the urban area. There's 3,269 adolescents compared to 741. Adolescents with access to a safer park were less likely to be inactive than those with access among those living in apartment buildings, unsafe neighborhoods, and low-income families. As you can see in the circled area of Model 5 and 6, you can see that 759 participants only were in unsafe parks, whereas in safe parks there was 3,251 adolescents that attended. These findings suggest that the relationship between physical activity and access to parks differs depending on the socio-demographic, housing, and neighborhood characteristics, in that parks may be particularly important for promoting physical activity among children.
In 2009, there were studies and programs that had to do with the effectiveness of prescribing exercise. There's a Swedish study, and the results showed that half of the patients reported increased physical activity at 3 months and 12 months. There was another program in Spain of the same year, 2009, and the results from that were that 6 months later, patients who received the referrals for parks were much more active. These studies conclude that if more doctors prescribe physical activity in parks, we can conquer the obesity epidemic. There's also ample evidence that the health-related benefits of physical activity outside, and it also shows that nature specifically can improve attention and other psychological aspects of health, and it can also reduce stress. Children should be encouraged to play outside versus staying inside watching TV or video games, and physicians also should consider prescribing outdoor play for physical and mental health benefits as well. It's just a win-win situation, prescribing nature for several health benefits. And with the success of this program, prescribing exercise and nature, it's no wonder why physicians are starting to prescribe them more often. In conclusion, given the information you learned today, we encourage you to adopt the park prescription so you can experience the many health benefits for yourself. After all, as you know, according to Robert Salas, MD of the ACSM Task Force, exercise is medicine. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.